Welcome to Mobile Home Friend YouTube channel, your go-to resource for everything manufactured housing.
Welcome to another deep dive from Mobile Home Friend. Today, we are looking at how to properly add on to your mobile home based on our latest research at mobilehomefriend.com.
And we have to start right there, folks, because the stakes just couldn't be any higher. That quote you're looking at, that's not an exaggeration. A simple mistake, one wrong connection when you're building an addition, can literally make your entire home worthless in the eyes of a bank. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen to you.
Exactly. So listen, if you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, please make it this right here. It's the golden rule: structural independence. Your addition has to stand on its own 2 feet with its own foundation, completely separate from the mobile home. This is the absolute key to avoiding that $0 disaster.
Now you're probably thinking, wow, that sounds like a lot of red tape. And you know what? That's a fair reaction. But this rule isn't just some arbitrary hoop to jump through. It's actually rooted in both federal law and the simple, undeniable physics of how these two structures behave. Let's dig into why.
Okay, so it all goes back to June 15th, 1976. That was the game-changing date. Before then, mobile homes were, well, kind of the Wild West, with no real standards. But after that day, the federal HUD code kicked in, and they became manufactured homes, highly regulated products built to a specific national safety standard. That little HUD tag on your home, that's a federal certification saying it left the factory as a perfect, self-contained unit.
And this is where things get tricky. Your manufactured home is its own little world, governed by federal HUD rules that override any local codes. But the addition you're building on your land, that's a totally different animal. It's a site-built structure, and it falls under your local county's building code. The rule of independence is what lets these two separate legal worlds exist side by side.
And even if you ignore the law, you can't ignore physics. As we say on the website, think of your mobile home as a ship and your addition as the dock. They have to be able to move independently. Why? Because the ground shifts. Your home and the new addition will settle into the earth at different rates. If you bolt them together, you're starting a slow-motion tug-of-war that will tear siding, crack drywall, and cause some serious damage.
So, how do we actually build that independent dock? This next part is all about the practical, boots-on-the-ground stuff. We're going to look at how you build this addition correctly, literally from the ground up.
And it always starts with the foundation. Now, concrete piers are good, a slab can be better, but what we're seeing in 2026 is that helical piles are the new gold standard. These are basically giant steel screws that are drilled deep into stable earth. They provide incredible stability, and frankly, building inspectors just love seeing them because they guarantee that addition isn't going anywhere.
Okay, now for the most important part, the connection. This is our ship in a dock idea in action. You physically build the addition's wall 1 to 2 inches away from the mobile home. Then you bridge that gap with a flexible, waterproof flashing. This lets both structures move without hurting each other. The key phrase to remember is, it's a flashing, not a fastener. The second you put a bolt through there, you've broken the golden rule.
That's such a critical point. And that whole idea of independence isn't just about the frame and the foundation. The exact same logic applies to your home's vital systems, like its electrical and its HVAC. You can't just slice into them.
Oh, absolutely. The most dangerous mistake we see is double-tapping breakers in the main panel. It's a massive fire hazard. The only right way to do this is to have an electrician do a load calculation and then install a totally separate sub-panel just for the addition. It needs its own independent power source to be safe and to pass inspection. End of story.
And it's the exact same story with your furnace. That furnace was sized by engineers for the exact square footage of your home as it left the factory. If you cut into the ductwork to heat a new room, you're going to overwork the furnace and get lousy climate control everywhere. The real professional solution is an independent mini-split system. It's super efficient and it doesn't mess with your home's original HUD certification.
All right, so you've got the engineering plan. But before you even think about picking up a hammer, you have to follow the official approval process. I'm telling you, this sequence is absolutely non-negotiable if you want to avoid a stop work order or, even worse, a demolition order.
So think of this as your 4-step roadmap. First, check your local zoning and setback rules. Then, hire a structural engineer to get that all-important letter. With that letter in hand, you apply for your building permit. And finally, you schedule and pass every single required inspection along the way. Do not skip a single one.
And let's be crystal clear about that engineer's letter. It's not a hassle.
It's what I call equity insurance, because when you go to sell your home, especially to a buyer using an FHA or VA loan, the lender is going to demand proof that your addition is legal and safe. This letter is that proof. It protects your investment.
So let's bring this all full circle. We started with the scary thread of that $0 appraisal, right? Well, following these steps is how you make sure your project adds real, tangible value instead of becoming a huge financial liability. Let's talk numbers.
This here gives you a pretty realistic idea of 2026 costs for a professional, by-the-book job. And notice how the total price is way more than just the materials. That's because labor and expertise are the biggest drivers of the final cost. Now, these are just ballpark numbers. If you want the full technical breakdown, check the post on mobilehomefriend.com.
Okay, this is it, your final actionable checklist. Find your HUD tags, call your insurance agent before you start, get an electrician to check your panel, and most importantly, when you talk to a contractor, you need to insist on the gap. If they give you a blank stare, they are not the right person for the job. And keep every piece of paper in a folder. As we noted on the site, having this folder ready is so important for a smooth sail down the road.
So we'll leave you with this question. After everything we've covered, when you look at your property, is your planned addition going to be an asset that adds value and equity, or is it going to be a liability just waiting to be discovered by an appraiser? The choice and the process to get it right is entirely up to you.
Thanks for watching. For more guides and the full article on this topic, head over to mobilehomefriend.com. Don't forget to check the links in the description below.
Thanks for watching. For more technical guides on this topic, click the link to see the in-depth article over at mobilehomefriend.com. There are many more informational dives into manufactured home topics to investigate and keep your project moving forward.